Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of Heal Yourself podcast. Today, Denise and I are talking about trusting yourself.
Ooh.
And honestly, I mean, you guys know at this point, all of our topics come from inspiration based on our own lives or talking to people or talking to clients. And yeah, no different here. Like just listening to Denise, if you guys could only hear our WhatsApp thread, she'll leave me messages, I'll leave her messages, and I was like, trusting yourself. Like, I don't think people do that enough. And yeah, you started to say
No, they
something.
don't.
Well,
I
and you were
know.
like, oh, we should record because we have so many thoughts coming to us. And we did.
Right. I know. I'm telling you, we should definitely start turning these WhatsApp voice messages into podcast episodes because sometimes we're like going on and it's and then sometimes it's like end up to being at 10 minutes. That's a perfect 10-minute podcast episode. Yeah, I was saying before we hit record that we don't trust ourselves enough because also the world had taught us and the chaos had taught us not to, right? To rely on the people on social media and, oh, she has or he has 1 million followers, then I need to listen to that person, right? And then we jump into the other, again, to the podcast and then to the books. And I'm not saying all of these, I mean, all of these are amazing tools, right? That you and I utilize as well. But I feel that we are constantly relying on others to tell us what to do because we truly don't trust ourselves enough. We kind of, if not turned it off, really lowered it
Mhm.
down. So I think that that's a great topic. It could relate to previous topics we talked about,
They all
but
relate.
they do, but it's really important to start practicing that, right? Sometimes what I try to do is instead of asking for advice, I try to, take some walking time or some walk and talk. Remember, I love
Hmm.
that, the walk and talk, which is also like this is basically a prayer saying, praying out loud and or journal about it or something. And if I'm still indecisive, I may, ask somebody. But then sometimes what I notice, I don't know if you have noticed, is that when you take someone else's advice, it's sometimes based on their experience, and then you try it and you're like, you go back and like, darn it, why didn't I go with what I wanted to do?
Yep. Or what your intuition told me. And that's the thing. Like, you're right. There's societal conditioning, there's childhood beliefs and stuff that we're told, there's religion, like, tack it all in. But even the business world. So I've shared this with you. I've hired so many business mentors over the years. Like, they've got to tell me what to do. But it wasn't always what felt right to me. And my intuition was telling me to do something else. But they're like, no, I'm the expert. So follow me. And it never worked out for me. Like it truly did not work out because I was not trusting myself. And I think that's the thing is sometimes we'll hear that other little voice, right? You got the angel and the devil on your shoulders. It's like I would hear one of them and then the other one would be like, "Oh no, no, someone knows better than you do." Um I want to share a story and I bet you have one too. But I don't think I've shared this on the podcast and sometimes it helps people like, "Oh my gosh, I didn't think about that." So when I'm also saying trust yourself, any of those crazy ideas that come to you is what I mean. Because sometimes we'll push them aside and be like, no, that's a crazy idea. So when we lived in Las Vegas, we thought we were ready to move. Like my husband woke up one day, literally had a dream, and was like, I think it's time to go. And I trusted him. For some reason, my intuition was like, I think you're right. And we didn't necessarily want to leave. Like we had good friends, we loved our house, like there was nothing wrong with Vegas, but it did feel like, we're being pulled to something else. And we loved Boise. Like there was something about Boise. We flew there, we visited for several days, we fell in love with it, we got on the plane, and I actually got emotional when we left. And I was like, this is so strange. Like, why am I getting emotional leaving? Well, then we put our house on the market. It's not selling. And every other house in the neighborhood is selling like hotcakes. And we had it priced right. We had a pool. We had a hot tub. We're like, come on. Like ours is updated. This doesn't, it should have been like gone in a week. We hit 30 days. And I'm like, this is ridiculous. Like, why isn't our house selling? And so I woke up one morning and I said to my husband, what if we're not supposed to go to Boise? And he's like, what? We love Boise. I'm like, what if those tears or me understanding that it wasn't our time. We talked about Austin 10 years ago. What if we're supposed to go somewhere like Austin? And of course, anyone else would be like, you were batshit insane. Like, what do you mean? You have this plan, you're already looking at schools for your son. And I was like, no, like something is telling me, intuition, divine guidance, I have no idea. But something's telling me we're not supposed to go to Boise right now. And so then I said to him, if we get an offer on the house in the next 24 hours, we're supposed to go to Austin. And we got 3 offers on the house. And here we are in Austin, and it was where we were supposed to come. There's a prime example of trusting yourself. If I had listened to that other voice or any other sane person, they would have been like, what? No, like either don't leave, you're not supposed to leave, that's why the house hasn't sold, or no, you were already planning on Boise, go there. Like, why would you switch gears and go over here? And it worked out because I trusted myself.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
I don't know if you shared that before, but it's a really cool
I
story.
don't
I
think
love
I
it.
did, but
Yeah, I
it's,
love it. And I'm sure everybody has stories. And if you look back, you have the stories of the good and the bad. Yours, the synchronicities were great. But then, I mean, I'm going to give a quick example. It's not
yeah.
a story, but I'm going to give the opposite side where I didn't um, trust myself or went with the obvious. And I went with somebody that knew something, and I'm regretting it right now because it's just stopping me. And I was like, I have to learn YouTube. So, anyway, so here's the thing. I stopped doing MailChimp because remember how you and I were doing the email list and stuff like that. And then I transitioned to just fully focusing on so putting the health coaching business on the side and fully focusing on the speech therapy. So what I did is I was like, I'm not gonna do anything with WordPress. Like, screw this. I'm just gonna do like a quick Weebly website because I already had like the domain and everything. So I did that, and that was great. It was working fine. I didn't want to collect because, as you know, with speech therapy, it's really in demand. So like there are therapists who have wait lists and stuff like that. So I didn't really need to advertise. I don't need to collect a mailing list, which I probably want to, I should marketing wise, but I haven't. So I was, debating going with Kajabi because you know Kajabi, and I was like, oh, Kira knows Kajabi, and then you've been doing it, blah 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 blah. But then I had somebody else tell me, oh, do Kartra because I know Kartra and stuff like that, which was great. So she helped me, transfer the website, do all of that. But then now all of a sudden she's extremely busy, and now I need to freaking learn Kartra. You don't know Kartra because I thought in my mind, like, had I gone with Kajabi, Kajabi, I would have asked you like this, and this. I'm not saying that's going to be hard to learn it, but it's a like pain in the ass right now because she's extremely busy, and I don't want to have to like wait, which is fine. I'm so happy for her, but I don't want to have to wait months and months and months. So now it's like, darn it, now I have to either find a VA that knows Kartra so I can, because I had the idea of, putting a PDF for just like a quick speech stuff and whatever, and then start collecting emails. And so, yeah, that's an example of when I just went with somebody else's experience because she loves Kartra. She makes money through affiliate marketing through Kartra. She's been doing Kartra forever. And however, now when you look at all of the websites and all of the courses, they're done through Kajabi. And you know it. And you, which my friend, that you and I are in constant in touch, where I could be like, hey, I'm stuck on here. You could
Mhm.
guide me because you know it. Right. So now it's like, so yeah. So we want you to think of not just examples where, you listen to your intuition and it synchronized beautifully like yours. Also think of those instances where you went back and you said, darn it, I went with that person's experience and it's different than mine. And sometimes, I don't know if you notice, but because you and I have increased our awareness so much, when someone is giving me advice, whether I ask for it or not, I can see how it's a projection of their
Mhm.
experiences. And I'm constantly like, I try to avoid giving advice and tips because, especially about relationships, because right now I'm in the midst of it. So I'm like definitely projecting. So like yesterday I was talking to a friend and I'm like, I was like, oh shit, like I'm projecting and I need to kind of stop. So, but yeah, so it's really important we're not saying not to ask,
Yeah, there's a
like
difference.
don't
There's
get
a
that,
difference
but
between asking for help and saying, hey, I would love some feedback, but also as you're asking for help, listen to yourself, trust yourself. And like you said, look at the good and the bad. I can almost guarantee that everyone that sits and says, okay, when I trusted myself, did it work out? And when I didn't trust myself, did it not work out? And we can use that with health again, too. For those that are like, I don't know, I just keep hiring people and they need to tell me what to do. At some point, you also have to trust yourself.
Right, absolutely. And then, yeah, take someone else's advice, but don't take it as the Bible. Like, don't take it
Yep.
as written in stone. Go on your walk, do your journaling about it. And if even if it's like an amazing person and that advice or whatever they did worked for them, but your gut and your intuition is telling you not to, then your intuition is the one to go with. You know what I mean? Consider it. So exactly, consider that tip, consider that advice, and but if so many things are saying no, then most likely go with trust yourself.
Yeah.
And just like what we say with everything, everything is practice. So you may not, have a lot of trust in yourself at this moment, but the more that you practice, the more it gets better and better and better.
Yeah, well, and that's the thing. When your intuition is speaking to you, but your 3D mind, your ego, that devil on your shoulder overrides
Mm-hmm.
it, you're messing with that connection to your soul, right? Like then we're blocking healing, we're blocking creativity, we're blocking abundance, we're blocking relationships, like all of those things. So trusting yourself is so important. And I actually have a quote. You know, Kathy Heller, Denise and I really like
Mm-hmm.
her.
We
She
love her.
yeah, she had a quote. And it's we have to have the courage to let go of everything that the world tells us we need to do. That one was so powerful for me, letting go
Yeah.
of everything the world tells us we need to do. And that's the thing, like, we're giving you some random examples of, like, moving cross country and good job you at Kartra, but like, there can be so many instances where you look at your life and you're like, okay, am I only doing something because someone else told me or social media says to do this versus what do I feel? And I mean, diets right now is the prime example. Like, how do all these carnivore, vegan, like, you know what I mean? There's so many different diets, and people
And all these
only,
people losing weight on the
yeah,
whatever.
they're
What
not
is it
doing
called?
it
The
because,
GLP?
yeah, they're not doing it because they trust themselves. They're putting their trust completely in someone else.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I have to give that example that we're not going to name the person, but that person who constantly keeps saying, I lost 70 pounds by releasing
Hmm.
trauma. Well, honey, no, you were using the GLP. So, maybe you release trauma, absolutely, but don't associate that with this. Like,
Yeah.
don't confuse that, right? So, that's a little bit of a rant. I'm like, dude, because she is on Facebook and she's saying all that. And I'm like, okay, great. Which is great for you. However, yeah, you're not trusting yourself with this one. You're not
Hmm.
trusting that your body can balance, by giving it what you need. And I mean, we may need some assistance. I don't know. I don't know.
I have no
I
issues
don't know
with
much about
assistance,
this. Yeah.
but again, are you trusting yourself or do you just throw in the towel and say, my body doesn't know what to do. Somebody
I
else
think
fix
I
it,
think when you are using that, you are not trusting yourself. Like, I mean, I think you are outsourcing this and you want something real quick and you're like, let me lose that whatever pounds I
Yeah.
need to lose. But then what is that doing is that you're relying on it, and then what's gonna happen after? What's gonna happen in a year, in 2, 3, 4, 5? So but when we trust ourselves with our health and with the food that we put in and with the
Mm.
thoughts that we put in our mind. Because I love what you mentioned the other day on Facebook with the quote, like, what was your quote? Something about like,
I have too many quotes.
the
I don't
the
know.
thoughts that you're feeding your mind are creating the disease. You
Hmm.
know what I mean? It's probably overriding the food that you're eating.
It is.
So right. So it's really, really important to just also recognize that, like, do I want to rely on this pill or on it's an injection, right? And to assist me, but then who's gonna assist me later?
Yeah.
Because that pill and that the injection or the supplements, whatever, is not gonna assist you all the time. So
Yeah.
yeah.
It's supplemental or a band-aid.
Right, but then that band-aid is becoming
Hmm.
permanent,
I
not
know.
temporary. It's no longer a band-aid anymore.
Yeah.
Right, and it's with everything. It's not just with like, I mean, same thing with not trusting ourselves with, with our everything, relationships, money,
Hmm.
career, children. Um, yeah, I
All
was
of
gonna
it.
say something and I totally like when you mentioned Kathy Heller, I thought of something. Oh, let me bring it back to how we grew up, because you and I grew up
Mm.
Catholics. And I do remember, I don't know who said it, I don't know where I heard it, whether it was at a mass, whether it was, because I went to Catholic school, or, because we also had, so when you attend Catholic school, you also have at least an hour of catechism every day, and then you go to mass every week. So, and I remember, and we used to have also the spiritual retreats. So I heard it somewhere is that God or Jesus is always in your heart talking to you, but you're the one not listening.
Hmm.
So if you are a Christian or and believe in Jesus, obviously, just and or God, just think of that like God is always talking to you, which is your intuition and
Yeah.
which is your Holy Spirit. But a lot of the times we're not listening because we are listening to the other noise.
Yeah. When in reality, we should be trusting. And it's funny because now I'm going back to Kathy, but she had said something the other day too about like everything we have, we need. It's within us if we would just trust and listen. But the problem is we push that aside. Like, no, no, no. The whole Jesus take the wheel. No, no, no. You don't take the wheel. I'll take the wheel.
I
Well,
know
that's
better.
the problem. We don't know better. There is some type of
We
higher
don't.
power,
We
whatever you
don't.
believe in. Start to trust.
And
Start
it
to,
trusts your heart, not your
yes.
mind. Because
Yeah.
Kathy said it on her podcast too. And now it's tying into God is in your heart or Jesus is in your heart,
Hmm.
whatever you believe in. Because she said that there was a study or an experiment on monks and they tested their brain activity and there was low brain activity or something like that. But the activity was in the heart.
Mm.
It's the recent podcast episode she has. So, and a lot of, whether it's Joe Dispenza or a lot of these people, David Guillaume, Kathy, they're talking about relying on your heart. So it's the mind comes, the ego is in the mind.
Hmm.
But when you are listening to your heart is where your message is
Yeah.
where God, your divine, is talking to you. So turning up the volume on that. And
And
now
this,
it makes sense when it says Jesus in your
yeah.
heart. You're not listening because you're listening to your mind.
Uh-huh. That 3D ego. And the
Yeah.
thing is like you said too, it's like people view it as selfish or greedy, but you just said it. What do I want? The heart is asking for love. What would light me up? So that's the thing. When you go into these little situations or big situations of like, where do I want to move to? Relationship, whatever. What feels really good? Like that's your answer. What lights you up? Your intuition is going to guide you on that. I don't know. There's just so much I could say about this.
Absolutely. I mean, it absolutely. I mean, for me, I'm going to give that example about my relationship,
Mhm.
and my heart was telling me a while back not to stay, not to stay. But what was I doing? I was rationalizing it with my mind, right? I was not trusting myself until the noise of my soul became so loud. Because it always starts. Because before I didn't understand, I would listen to people and say, "Oh, it starts with a whisper, it starts with a
It
whisper,"
does. It's
until
like
it's a
symptoms in the
scream,
body. It's the same
until
thing.
it's a scream. And I'm like, what do they mean by that? What do they mean by that? But it truly is a whisper because your heart and your soul are very gentle and kind. However, until you ain't listening,
Hmm.
and it becomes really really loud, and now I keep going back to like, oh my goodness, I wish I'd done this sooner. However, I always have to remind myself that I am on this journey. My soul chose this journey. What a gift. I learned that from David Guillaume. What a gift. Instead of like dwelling and regretting, I'm exactly where I need to be at this time. I trust where I am, I accept it. And instead of just kind of like regretting, because there's
Yeah.
no point in regretting. My soul chose this path for a reason. So I'm just going to surrender that and trust it versus having to argue with it. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? Of course, my human experience sometimes does argue with it. However, I have been pulling myself out of it really fast with the walking, with the breathing, with just everything that the resources that you and I have been using. And so I really cannot stress this enough. Like, seriously, 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 utilize those tools on a daily basis because it will increase your awareness and they will start working. They will start working and you will start understanding what we're talking about or what other people are talking about. Because sometimes it used to be like foreign language. Like Eckhart Tolle stuff were freaking foreign language to me
Yeah.
until they became like, wait a minute, he
Hmm.
means this, he means that.
Yeah. When you're ready. And that's the thing. We give you all these tools. I'm going to throw another one in there too. Just when you're trying to make a decision, I don't care if it's a decision about dinner, a decision about, whatever, like any type of decision. This is good practice for you to take a deep breath, put your hand on your heart and go, what feels good? What feels expansive? What lights me up? That's what you go with. That's your intuition. And that's going to help you when you get to the really big things of like, oh my gosh, like, I don't know, I'm making a checklist and I'm doing this. No, 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 no. That's the 3D, that's the ego. Feel into the heart, take that deep breath. What feels good? What feels expansive? What lights me up?
And trust sometimes that the delays, I want to give quick examples. Trust that the delays and the cancellations are working out for you. So
Mhm.
many times clients cancel. And then later on, I realized that, wait a minute, I needed to be with my daughter here. Hence, that's why the client
Mhm.
canceled. Or the delay and like being late, for example, to dropping her off or something. And it completely worked out because this happened. And then you start seeing the synchronicities. So when I started seeing, instead of getting so upset at the delays and the cancellations, I'm pausing and saying, what a gift. they st- it's because your soul is interfering with those delays and
Mhm.
cancellations or whatever happening, the mishaps or the things that are just kind of like not part of your plan. They work out so well when you see them as a gift because you see like, oh, had my client not canceled, I would not have been able to attend this, for example.
And maybe
So
that needs to be an episode of just not even trusting, but like
yeah, I know it
just
should be an episode, huh?
I know, like the ever letting go and trusting that everything that happens is serving a much better purpose.
Absolutely.
But
We can do that next week. Yeah, we can. I mean, and we have a topic. This is a topic.
you guys see how our brains work. Did you have, I know you've been doing like affirmations. Did you want to do that?
I do. Yeah, we can end with we can end with just a few breaths and our mantra affirmation for today. I have been liking doing those. So, if you're driving, do not close your eyes, please.
Pull
Sometimes I'll
over.
be listening to podcasts and I'm like, they say, close your eyes. I'm like, no,
Bad time.
do not. Bad time. So if you're driving, please do not. Or if you're cutting tomatoes. So anyway, if you can close your eyes, we're going to take a few deep breaths. We are going to inhale for 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. We're going to hold for 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and exhale for 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And the mantra while you do that is I am whole and complete. We're just going to do one round. Again, I am whole and complete. Let's breathe for 4, 2, 3, 4. Hold for 6, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And let's exhale for 8, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. I am whole and complete.
Beautiful. All right,
I
guys.
love it.
We'll see you on the next episode. Make sure to share the podcast with someone that needs to hear it. Leave us a review. That helps us get seen. We appreciate them, especially when you leave words. We have a few wonderful ones. We don't want you guys to fake it, but it really does help us grow and serve more
Yes,
people.
absolutely. Thank you so much.
See you next time.